6 o'clock, and I'll call to order this meeting, special meeting of the Waterbury Selectboard on Thursday, March 5th, 2026. The first item on the agenda is to approve the agenda. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the agenda with an amendment. If we could postpone the items on the consent agenda that do not need immediate action for the next meeting, that would be great.
Okay, and Bill, can you tell us?
I believe.
Go ahead, second. Second. Discussion. Bill, can you identify the items on the consent agenda that we would?
I believe the only item is F.
Catering. First class license.
Yeah, but I guess with the agenda.
Okay.
I do know, excuse me, I do know that Beth had at least some of these liquor control things that were time sensitive.
Yes, and I think it was only F from what she said. I don't know for sure. And I will just say, occasionally a special meeting has to be, or is called in cases where there is a time sensitive one, rather than McGillicuddy's not being able to serve liquor. I'm using them as an example or something like that.
So Sandy, can I ask why you don't have all these liquor licenses approved, or?
I haven't seen any of, I assume
I'm
we
with
should
her.
look at them, but.
I don't even know where, I don't know where these are. It says we're to approve a consent agenda, we are to have reviewed beforehand. And we have reviewed beforehand. I don't know what they
I
are.
did go with.
Well, like the minutes, I mean, we don't have the minutes, we weren't even at the meeting. so-
Yeah, I agree. I don't know about the minutes either.
But in my experience,
They're linked in the
Yeah.
agenda.
I read them.
They're hyperlinked in the agenda.
yeah,
So that you guys can look at them at least.
Yeah, I read those.
but generally, these are just stuff to do, just to prove them. It's been vetted by, the town manager, and there's no more information needed. This is pretty
I'm
standard.
just learning.
I know, I'm just saying, it's pretty standard. You'll have some of these almost every meeting, or almost pretty frequently.
Yeah, there's instances of our custom past a couple of years has been that acknowledge that these all have been reviewed by staff. We don't spend
Well, why,
a lot of time on them, but
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Why are these annual licenses? Are they 2-week licenses? What are they? I mean, I don't even know what kind of license they are.
anyone want to speak to that? Yeah.
Their annual licenses, their annual renewals, and they, organizations have to go through the process. They do the renewal process online, depending on what a town has adopted for approvals. They can require, fire department approval, and then ultimately they have to have approval by the select board or the city council.
All of them are, the applications are made to the department. Right? So these are all applications that proprietors make to the state and the select board is the control board, the town.
And this is the last
Right.
step.
This
So we
is-
can
this-
assume that the state has already approved them and the fire
The
department.
state will approve them after you.
I mean, the issue could be, as town folks, we could say, well, so-and-so, heard terrible things about this specific institution, police have been called, you could meet them on a case and say, look, we're done with this, whatever the institution is, because there's been so much trouble. I mean, that could.
Well, that's like, I don't know who that.
I don't know how it's been done since 2022. But, and I don't, maybe typically when the packet goes out, there's a way for the select board to look at these things before you get here. Because,
Right.
I mean, there used to be an application and, I mean, they even had to, maybe they changed it, but
Yeah,
if the
it's all,
proprietor had had a criminal record, it was on the application, and there were things like Don said that, well, you know, we have, some of these places have entertainment permits and, you know, doesn't happen so much anymore, but there's been problems or issues, I should say, concerns. So the select board always had some ability to see this stuff. I think putting it on the consent agenda is reasonable. It's just that you've got two regular members of the board here tonight, and they don't know anything about it.
It's all paperless now. Everything has been paperless for the last few years. So there isn't really anything to share, except that whatever process, and I'm sorry, I'm not familiar enough. I should identify myself for the record. Carol Moss. I carry the title of assistant town clerk at the moment. So, so I don't know what the process, whether Waterbury has a liquor license policy or any of that kind of stuff, but it is, by the time it reaches the point before a city council or a select board, it's generally been through a lot of vetted stages, and this is the local approval before the licenses are then renewed.
So who at the town has looked at this? If it's filed online and it's reviewed online, and how does it get on this list? And who at the town has determined that there isn't an issue or a, you know, loud, whatever Don was
Yeah,
talking about? an
any
incident
improprieties.
In that we're being asked to just carte blanche, say, yep, go for it. I just wanna know that.
Beth Jones, as the acting town clerk, she is the point of contact with the Department of Liquor and Lottery.
So they send the information to her. And I don't know what her process to get it on the agenda, just puts it on, nobody looks at it.
So the zoning administrator doesn't look at it?
No, I mean, if, as I read these, they're all well-established businesses. If somebody new was coming, you know, for an event or something like that, it might be a different story. But again, these are yearly. Occasionally, the only time-sensitive one is when somebody just doesn't send their application ahead far enough in advance.
So if it's a new one, the zoning administrator would have seen it because they would have been involved in either DRB issuing a permit for the establishment or change of use.
Only if there was actual like building, if it's a special event permit, doesn't come to me.
But if it's a new establishment. they-
Right.
they Change of use.
Right, change of use of a building, anything that has to do with the property or the building or development or change
Right.
of use goes through zoning, but
Right,
not events and not liquor.
right. So Beth, as administrator, is receiving an email from the state. The state has not approved it, but the town is to sign off with the,
Well,
I know.
the town has to sign off of it in order
For the
for
state.
the state to.
And there's two ways it could happen, as Bill said. I mean, if you get information from the local police, I mean, you may find some complaints about it, go to the town manager, he could then advise us, say, look, hold this one off because of whatever I've heard, and until we get this further investigated, or it could bubble up in the community, calling a select board member, you know, you could get calls, multiple calls. Down the street is this establishment, their tires are peeling out, there's people fighting down, you know, it could be that kind of stuff, and we could then get suspicious and say, let's hold off on this until they get their act together, you know. So it's kind of those two oversights for those establishments. That's
that's not really oversight, but
Well, I
I don't
mean,
wanna debate it.
community
I
oversight.
mean, it just seems like it should have some local, other than Beth, who's sitting in the office. It just seems like there should be somebody that's knowledgeable of the institution before it gets to us. That's all, cause I don't know, I'm not a drinker, so I don't know these places necessarily, and I'm being asked to say, yep, go for it. That's all.
Well, what I would hate for to happen if others of these were time sensitive. And all of a sudden at Crossroads or the Best Western, they have to close their bar or what have
Yeah.
you, because you or we have not acted in the.
Right, but they
No,
didn't file their permit. I mean,
This is
why
when,
is it?
this is when they're supposed to file.
Right.
Yeah, those
They're not-
ones aren't.
These permits, this long list of permits are going to be, usually on the agenda in
Yeah,
March.
this is pretty
Right,
soon.
but
They're
somebody
now
just said we have to have a special meeting just to approve it. 'cause
Well,
they're like-
That's,
No, that's if a new establishment opens in June. These are annual licenses. I think they start April first.
Oh, that's,
They're on a rolling system now.
Okay,
All right,
So
so,
there's usually at least 1 or 2 or 3 every.
okay,
All right, so the motion has been made and seconded to amend the agenda to leave only item F under the consent agenda and table the others.
Do you want to approve the minutes too? Item A?
Yeah, I haven't read them, I mean, I don't know, I mean, it wasn't even, we weren't even at the meeting, it's hard to, there was something, I had no idea what to. And I didn't get a chance to read it, I mean, this meeting came real quick, so.
I would prefer to just punt it to the next meeting. I also want to ask about putting Randolph, that one's fine. As of
Okay.
March 16th. date.
We can suggest an amendment to add the to the agenda.
friendly amendment to the motion.
Do I have a second? Okay, seconded. Where would you like to put it?
Don't we have to vote on Sandy's and then,
No, this, Sandy's was not an amendment versus the original motion. With the exception of all the consent agenda, items with the excluded except for F.
And this is a friendly amendment to add, and the addition of the Randall Meadow project at X point in the agenda. And so where in the agenda,
Where would you?
I would suggest to put it before the select board update. 7:20.
7:20, okay, we're doing 7:20, we'll move, select board and interim manager updates, to towards 7:25. To. Yeah. We can adjust time, we will. All right, so this is on the amendment, it's been moved and seconded, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
I'm still confused, so we're gonna only approve that,
No, this is just for the amendment, to add Randall Meadow.
okay, that means I agree. That's fine.
Any against, any abstentions? That passes, Randall Meadow has been added at 7:20. And now on the original, motion, with the friendly amendment, which is to, have the agenda as written, except for all of the consent agenda items that have been removed, with the exception of F. Any further discussion? All in favor? Say aye. Any against? Any abstentions? Okay. Moved as well. And we move on to select board organization. We elect the chair, and vice chair, and secretary. We have secretary nominations.
I'd like to nominate, Mark Staskis to be chair of the select board.
Right, so. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Are you willing to serve?
Yeah.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any,
Aye.
any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, congratulations, Madam Chair. Meeting is now yours.
All right, next one is to, identify and elect a vice, that's where I'm going, I called it, identify, elect vice chair. Any nominations?
I'll nominate Don Schneider as vice chair.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Don, are you willing to? Excuse me?
I think we'll do a great job.
I do too. You willing to accept that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And you have a secretary?
Yes, officially we do.
Yeah, you're supposed to elect a secretary. Typically Cheryl does the minutes, but if Cheryl's on vacation, unless another staff member like town manager or somebody volunteers, this, the elected secretary to do the minutes.
It could be for a special meeting, it's out of the.
Right.
Okay, dates.
Roger. Yep.
I'll nominate Sandy Saban as secretary.
I'll second that. Would you be willing to? Yep. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. The next agenda item is the public comment. Oh, wait, excuse me, for Paprika. Approve the consent agenda for Paprika Catering. Take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
I'll second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Now we'll move on to 6:15 public comment. Is there anyone from the public that would like to make a comment? That for an item, for an item that is not on the agenda, okay?
I just want to say, we worked on the DRB a long time ago.
Yep.
I'm so glad to see you back. And I'm glad to see you already doing your due diligence. So happy. Thank you.
I'll just have a point of order, when we recognize people from, probably we should bring them up. Captured by the owl, seen on the screen.
Is there anyone online that would like to make a comment? All right, then we'll move on to the next item, which is the budget update from the Selectboard.
Okay, because I had two requests before the meeting started, I went out and made some progress, so I'm gonna hold out two different things, so one. And the copy machine kind of ran out of paper and I don't know how to run it, I put the paper. I managed to get enough, so I think the board and you, and they need waiting as well.
Oh, thank you.
So I just want to, I'll wait for you on that one.
Thank you.
How do we identify these?
Well, I'll,
Okay.
when everybody gets one. So if you look at the one that says at the top, previous year, period 12 of the status report, that is the 2025 budget that was from January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025. These numbers appear somewhere in the annual report that we looked at on the meeting day, the other day. And I would, so, for reasons that made sense to him, decided to present the budget in the book very differently than it is presented in the accounting software. Remember, is the accounting software. And, you'll see here the first, you have two-sided pages. The first 2 2/3 pages on the printout that I've given you are the revenues for the general fund. This is only the general fund budget. We have several other funds that tie back into the general fund checking account balance sheet that I have not shared with you tonight. But for Fund 11, which is the general fund, the first 2 2/3 pages of this NEMRIC report are all of the revenues that goes to the general fund. And then from page 3, the bottom third of page 3, the numbers that start with 11.7, 11.6 means the revenue, so there's codes in the first 2 and 2/3 pages are revenues, 11.6 is the code. The 11.7 codes are all expenditures. And so have all expenditures by department, and they are presented this way. In the annual report, the departments are all spread out throughout the book in a different order. The revenues are shown kind of by department, which in some senses is helpful to understand that, you know, the library budget has a certain amount of money that comes in with it. But if you look on the first page of this report, the revenue report, you look down in that other governments fund, and you'll see there's at the bottom 3 lines, Duxbury fire contract, wartime fire contract, Duxbury fees, for the library. Then, on the, somewhere in where yeah, so on the second page, if you look under what's called debt service, not really debt service, but that's what this heading said. You see there's a line from tax stabilization fund, from library fund, and from cemetery fund. In the town report, you know, you can, if you look through there, you can find a $30,000 transfer in from the cemetery trust fund into the general fund budget. We can find a $50,000 movement of money from the tax stabilization fund, but we can't find the $80,000 from the library fund in the book. So my request and I guess recommendation to you is that we use the NEMRIC format to discuss the financial statements of the town. And what typically would have been done for the annual report is that this NEMRIC report, which is difficult, you can't manipulate these numbers at all. So if you presented the NEMRIC report at a budget meeting, and one of the select board members said, well, you know, what would the budget look like if we took out some money from, say, the highway salt line? Well, you can't do that on the NEMRIC report and show your proposed budget that way. So what typically is done, and what Tom did, but he reorganized it, what typically would be done is that this NEMRIC report would be exported into an Excel spreadsheet format. And then it would have to be reformatted. Typically, the manager or finance director would do that and format it. And then for the annual report and for your budget work, there would be a column that says budget, you know, current year, 2025 in this case. There was a actual and year to date column there. I might keep this percentage spent or received in there. I might have a column that says, you know, remainder, what you didn't spend or what was above or below the revenue that you projected. And then the final column would be budget for the next year, 2026. And that would have been printed in the town report and everything would have been in this order. So the other thing that I would just say to you all, and if I'm still around as we go through the year, I'm still working here. I want you to all understand that the select board, the legislative body of the town, is the responsible fiduciary party for all of the assets that the town has. So that means that, well, I didn't print out a balance sheet. You should see income and expense reports and balance sheets on a regular basis. At least quarterly, I mean, quarterly is a good goal. Certainly at least twice a year. And don't be afraid when those are presented, especially the balance sheets, to ask questions about what they mean. Assets and liabilities are on the balance sheets. There are some liabilities especially that are a little bit confusing, they're a little bit esoteric. And they, there's if I had a balance sheet here, there would be a line in an asset that says, delinquent taxes outstanding. And it might say $200,000, and that's the delinquent taxes outstanding as of the end of the last year. So as of December 31st, 2025, that would be all years. That balance sheet line would be all delinquent taxes going back as far as we have them. There'd be a liability, however, that says deferred revenue. And that deferred revenue line is going to be a lower amount than that, well, it's going to be a different amount than that asset is. And what that means is your assets, the CPAs want to understand what assets are liquid that you can pay a bill with right away, or what assets are much more difficult to utilize presently. And that deferred revenue line, basically what you can consider as a liquid asset of that delinquent taxes that are outstanding is the delinquent taxes that you're able to collect in the first 60 days of the next year. So I've done that.
Bill, is that based on a formula or how do they determine?
That's a GASB standard, general accounting.
Right.
Standard.
So it's, right,
So that's an accounting standard.
so that percentage would be the same no matter. if
Yeah,
it's 200.
that's 60 days for the year. So anyway, you're the fiduciary, responsible parties for all of the assets. There should be presentations made by a manager or a finance director or a bookkeeper that are reasonable, picture of how your finances are right now. They're never going to be right to the day because there's
Right.
money that comes in every day.
Right.
There's money that gets spent for payroll and accounts payable every week. So it's never going to be exact, but you should have that. And your budget report, budget reports should be provided to all the department heads on a monthly basis. And I think they should be shared with the boards, preferably quarterly. You have a number of assets that are in investment portfolios.
Yeah.
You should see those portfolios from time to time. We have policies, investment policies that restrict or define what kinds of investments you can have in particular funds. So those are all things that should be provided to you. And I'll work with Bill. You're going to get to some of these things a little bit later, but I'm happy to work with present staff and the board as much or as little as you would like to help you get.
Can I ask some questions?
Yeah.
So what do you call it, the software?
NEMRIC.
NEMRIC?
NEMRIC.
NEMRIC, okay.
Municipal
So-
Resource Center.
NEMRIC is the program that town of Waterbury is utilizing.
Almost every municipality.
Okay, well, yeah, whatever. My point is that this is what is the program that is actually tracking specifically. So to minimize the risk of error and having it exported, I'm kind of sensing your recommendation is to get our reports. I mean, I'm assuming that this also generates a balance sheet, a P&L.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so what
So-
I would like to do, if it were me, and when I did it in the past, I would oftentimes, I would give this general report.
Okay,
But as we went through the year, I would also export it, put it into an Excel spreadsheet, and then I would have a projected column. I would do a calculus, a
for the rest of the
calculation
year.
to say, okay, we budgeted,
There it is.
we budgeted
Yeah.
for regular pay.
Yeah.
$301,000, and as of such and such a date, we've spent,
Yeah.
$200,000. But, if we spend $200,000 and it's September, that's probably okay, but if we spend $200,000 and it's May,
Right,
we've got an issue. So
right,
I would typically export this information to an Excel spreadsheet so I could provide additional supplementary information.
Yeah.
That you could see and ask questions about. The balance sheets, I typically won't export those. I would just give you
Give
the
it out,
balance
right.
sheets, so.
right, okay. Yeah, I just think it's helpful to minimize potential for error, but I like the projection or the variance, the explanation of why it's not on the track that we expected it to be.
Right, because it does happen from time to time. The network software is, some would say it's an old platform. It's not, whatever.
Yeah.
With the up-to-date, language for programming, but it still works well. It works well. Most towns use it. Some of the bigger cities, they've gone out, they've
Yeah.
made a little bit more,
That's fine.
municipality specific program. But from time to time, if you exported this, when it exports over into Excel, it might leave
Cut
that
off.
line off, and
Oh.
you have to.
Go find it.
The person who's doing the exporting has to be
Right.
careful and try to make,
Right,
you format it so it works.
all right, thanks.
But anyway, this is what the 2025 budget looked like. Now, the other one that I gave you, this is the 2026 year. And you can see the budget column are all zeros. And typically at this time of year, that would be the case. They're all zeros. So they're all zeros because we didn't have town meeting until just the other day. We had some amendments to the budget the other day. So typically the budget doesn't get put into the NEMRIC system until after town meeting.
After it's approved.
And frankly, it's not a good and final budget till 30 days after town meeting, because someone puts petition to have, to reconsider what we did, at town meeting. But the actual column, that is what we have received and spent to date. As of 3/2. If you look out at the left-hand corner, this, the date is on the top. So this is as of, whenever the second was.
So we look at our probably first set of actuals, maybe at the end of April, beginning of May, given that April 3rd is.
We'll probably have the first quarter budget report, which would be January, February, March. That would probably be presented at the second meeting of April.
Yeah, that's correct.
Because, it's, the month ends on Friday
Right,
or Wednesday evening, it's really hard to get all that information together. So typically, do the second meeting of the next quarter, that would have a budget financial report. But I just want to tell you that the way that the budget is laid out in the book, which is also the Excel spreadsheet that used to do this. It's gonna take me a while to get these numbers right, because they're all over the place. So just wanna ask for patience. And again, I don't know if I'll be anywhere around this table a year from now or a year from January when this is being put together. So I would highly recommend that you use the structure that Nemrick is in for the exported thing, so that you just can follow it right down
Just
the
to
line.
be blunt, are you telling us, which I hope you are, that as we move forward with filling positions, we encourage our new town manager to follow this and not start
Yeah,
moving things
I think
around?
the best thing
Yeah.
from here, and I think it's perfectly appropriate to export the Nemrick and use an Excel spreadsheet and present budgets to the board and to the public with the Excel spreadsheet, because it's much more easy to
Right.
incorporate changes and manipulate
Yeah.
it. And then that, whatever the final version is that gets adopted here by the select board, gets printed here,
Okay,
and the public doesn't have to
Yeah.
jump around all over the place to see where the revenues are and where the.
well, I can understand from a department by department, being, a department being able to see, here's what my revenue, or my allowance or my revenue is, and then here's what I have to spend. And so I can understand it, but I'm right
Well,
on board here with
Yeah,
understanding it, keeping it consistent.
but department heads really don't or shouldn't have to worry about the revenues. So
I
there's,
mean, in the planning budget phase, sort of, planning for the future, here's what you're,
no,
Okay.
I disagree.
Okay.
I think it's the manager and the bookkeeper and the finance directors worry about the revenues and where they're coming from. The highway foreman, or supervisor doesn't need to know that there's $110,000 coming in from the state. If there's a grant that they have to do with, certainly they talk about it, but they're responsible for spending their budget. And there's others that are responsible for making sure that we avail ourselves of the revenues that are out there available to us. So they really don't need to see it all in one place. But having said that, it used to be, and I would recommend this for two departments. The CPA always used to tell me that, the GASB standards say what functions of the government are general fund operations, and what functions are proprietary. Now, you don't have really any proprietary funds in the town, because water and sewer are proprietary funds, and that's e-funds, right? But you do have two departments that have trust funds that are assigned cemetery and the library. And frankly, at the next meeting, if you want me to still be around, I'd like to, I've got some things that I'd like to show you about that, but we always used to have the general fund. We had a highway fund, because there were some dedicated revenues from the state that came to the highway fund. Highway is a general fund operation, so Tom moved it into the general fund, which is perfectly appropriate. The cemeteries and the library are also general fund operations. They meet the standard of the general government operation, and Tom moved those into the general fund. But both the cemetery and the library have their own dedicated trust funds that can't be spent for anything else. And for accounting purposes, I always felt it was a lot easier to keep all of that on track by having a separate cemetery fund and separate library fund. And then you could see, okay, here's these general revenues for the library, and here's what they want to spend, and here's the trust fund, and we can decide how much we want to take out of the trust fund, how much we want to charge the taxpayers. So
Those two trust funds have to be, any, money removed from them have to be approved by the trustees
yes,
of the library and cemetery respectively.
the library, absolutely. The cemetery is, I think the cemetery, frankly, is the select board, is the responsible parties. Those money from the cemeteries came from the old cemetery associations that used to exist all over Vermont. And, when they found that most of their members were in the cemetery and the members of the cemetery association, they came to us and said, we can't maintain cemeteries anymore. They're town cemeteries, you have to do it. And they were nice enough to give us the money that they had collected and invested over the years. So we have that. I think that is really the select board's purview, but having elected cemetery commissioners that have that's their only focus. I think having them involved is very helpful.
No town employees maintain the cemetery, right?
I believe so. Bill.
Right,
Now,
yeah, that's what I said. So
They used to have contract people, but town. But the library commissioners, they are also the trustees of the library fund.
Negotiation we have.
And then we can talk about that at another time. So, anyway, so, that's all I have to say.
That was very helpful, quite frankly.
Thank you. I'm not sure what my process will be here when my battery dies. I'm just giving you a warning. We've got plenty of time. I'm just.
Yeah, I
That's my question to you.
That's William's way of saying Bill talked too much.
Well, I typed up when you asked to be on the agenda, I put quick budget update, William Sheplock, and I'm like, oh, that's not. So I struck the quick out because I said
I
that's
thought
just.
that was really quick.
What for? Yeah. And I would recommend that Bill come back quarterly or earlier
Well, that's
if
what
you.
I've already
Yeah.
wrote in here.
Well, I think we can do it as needed too, you know.
Yeah,
we can
that's
talk. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I'll, just to give you, I like setting up like expectations because I'll get busy with something else and I've got another life too. And just if we know that Bill's gonna come quarterly or we're gonna have a budget update quarterly, then you don't really have to think about it as much. So I'm inclined to just set it as a system, but we can.
And I will certainly, on the quarterly ones, I'll do my best to be here. I am retired. I do have a wife who travels, so there are times, and I'm not gonna do it on Zoom. Not gonna report in from vacation.
No, we have to do that.
But I can probably make sure that
All
they're
right.
ready to be presented and whoever's sitting.
Have a think about it. You keep it in the back of your mind. I'm gonna advocate for it, I'll tell you.
And the last thing that I'll say is that, I am working probably right now 15-ish hours a week. Well, I alluded to it the other day at town meeting, but when I started looking at the memory reports, and I know because I asked the question of the select board and the town manager back when they were talking about, and they were having people in the audience say, well, can we have a 0% tax increase? And I asked the question, what's your general fund balance? Because you can use some of that. And the answer was given, and, it was somewhere in the $500,000 range, I believe was the answer. When I came in to start, looking at all this, and I mentioned that at the town meeting the other day, I mean, the balance sheet said that the general fund balance was negative $477,000. And a lot of that had to do with the preferred revenue that I talked about. A lot of it had to do how school taxes had been paid, and I'll show you that at the next meeting. But I want you to know that I did have to spend about 30 hours or so to get all that back to life. And you are paying. So I want to be transparent about the fact that I live here, I want to help, and I do a lot of stuff as volunteer, but this stuff takes a
So
lot of
about-
time.
Why does this say wrong?
Okay.
Just because there's nothing there.
Well, yeah, but so, Martha is looking at.
I'm sorry, the last
the
page
last
of
page-
last.
The last page of the
General fund.
2025.
I thought they said wrong. Said wrong.
What's that?
So,
You like word wrong on that?
Yeah. Kind of jumped out at me.
So the way the NEMRIC program works is that on the first, 2 2/3 pages, there's a line that says revenues, and
Revenue.
there's a total. There's a total in the budget column, and there's a total in the actual column. And then when you get to the end of the budget, it's showing a total. Well, nobody, after town meeting last year, when you appropriated $42,633 of special article money, you can see that's the actual that was spent, but nobody put it into the budget. So the left-hand column, where it says total expenditures budgeted are $6,347,000, well, it's $42,000 wrong, and the $18,000, which says total general.
Right.
And total out funds, that is revenues minus expenses, and it's saying it's minus 18,000. It's really minus 52,000 or
Right.
whatever, 42 plus
18,
18,
yeah,
right? So it's just off right away.
okay,
So, the point being is that on the new budget, I will start working as soon as practicable. And we'll get these numbers filled into the budget column as soon as I can, but as I said, it's gonna take a little time because I gotta
Yeah.
dance around that book.
And there's no number, there's no account numbers in there.
Yeah, and there's
Yeah.
no account on it.
all right.
And
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Bill?
I just have a comment, Bill, using this format, first off, works very well for me. But pulling it into Excel is how normally it's done. You know, and if Nemrick does pull in relatively easy, there are a few glitches, but the Excel's gonna balance for you, they're gonna match your numbers, and I don't have any problem with that. So I like the idea of doing it in that format, and allowing the change to see the change that we're doing there.
Yeah. Any questions? All right, thanks, Bill.
Is that a document? Is that from the town report, or is it a document that can be attached to the agenda meetings? And we were sitting here like discussing about, you know.
It'll be up.
Yeah.
We'll put it up tomorrow, or Cheryl, thank you, Cheryl.
And if I'm asked to print agendas, I know today was a rush day. For
Is that
sure.
mine?
Thank you.
Oh, mine's good. That's about.
I just didn't know how to get it.
No, today was like.
It printed out just enough, and then it's, not doing-
It's interesting to learn, thank you. Appreciate it.
There's one.
I have clean copies of the budget stuff that I will scan and post after the meeting. Yes.
All right, I'll leave. We're gonna move on to review the select board administration and logistics plan.
Yeah, folks online were also asking for stuff, so I apologize to everyone that I didn't have this before the meeting. Oh, okay.
Do we make a motion to allow or to ask for the financials quarterly and in that format, or do we just, is this just a discussion?
I was gonna just, plan for the future to have be put on the agenda,
Okay,
so I don't think we need to make a motion for it.
okay.
If you're good with that. Review of select board administration and logistics. I'm not sure who's gonna take this.
I think, looking at last year's, it basically talks about the procedures you follow, open meeting laws, how you're gonna set up your agenda, what the process is. As chair, you will set the agenda with assistance from others, or
Right,
how people can get a agenda item on the agenda,
right.
what the process is. That's the logistics part of that.
So, well, can I just
Sure.
respond to that? There is already in place rules for procedure that are posted, so we're not gonna change any of that. We're just gonna continue.
I assume you will, they're posted there on the
Yeah.
wall, they're on the
Yep,
website.
there's 2 places. Yeah, okay, good.
And, what we, have been doing this past year is, one of the last agenda items would be updates and proposals for agenda items for the following meeting. So that if people wanted to bring up a particular issue for the next meeting, it could be discussed at the end of the meeting.
So, to be honest with you, my preference would be to have the, updates. It says select board and town manager updates. I'd rather have that first so that we know what we're moving on. But, is that what you're talking about, leaving at the end?
It was, and sometimes it was the same agenda item, sometimes they were separated, but it was
Yeah.
basically anyone that wanted to bring up things. For a while,
For the
we had a
next-
parking lot,
Yeah.
and we would pull things up from the parking lot. At other times, there'd be issues brought up during public comment.
Yeah.
That we would say, okay, let's make sure that this gets on the
Let's not
agenda
forget
for the following meeting, or maybe in month's time.
And I think, Martha, that the municipal manager and select board updates are kind of separate from what are the agenda items that we'll do, that we want to think about for next time. So those are actually two separate items on the agenda.
Right,
The updates, informational updates.
right.
And then discussion of next meeting's
Right.
agenda items. So
And
those
that's-
informational updates.
That's what I'm
would
asking
make
to be
sense.
put up at the
Yeah,
beginning.
because
And that's
they
what I
are
just wanted to-
separate.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I understood Roger's request, which I think is a great idea. That, you know, something comes up, or I don't know if this is the place. We're gonna talk about the meeting schedule in the next item, so I'll talk about it there. Any other comments or questions?
If I could just talk about those informational updates. The other thing is that recognizing that it's next to impossible for any one of us to cover all the committee work that goes on, for which we have oversight. We have identified liaisons for particular committees. I've been serving as the liaison to the rec committee, for example. Was the liaison to the planning commission. And Mike did DRB
Right.
and the Conservation Commission. And which is a system that seemed to work reasonably well, allow us to take some of the limited time that we have available to attend those committee meetings and provide updates. And they had been towards the end of the meeting, but they could be at the beginning.
I think I would just suggest that, I think that's a great idea. Let's get another select board member on, and then we can start divvying up the liaisons. And get on a roll. I think that's a great idea. It was helpful having, for example, from my perspective, it's very helpful having Alyssa attend when she could and stay in touch. And so that I knew that the select board knew what we were doing, what the planning commission was doing. So it's a two-way benefit.
Whether it's the housing task force, you know,
Yep.
I think Katie was,
Yep, Kate,
select. Important.
And you've got a hand up, Martha?
where's Dawn?
No, on Zoom, it's,
Cheryl, you're gonna have to help me with that. First of all, I'm blind. and
Yeah,
second
you
of
got-
all,
You've got Amy with a hand up on.
All right,
on
thank
Zoom.
you.
Hi
Go
there.
ahead.
I want to, coming at this from two angles. One, I want to advocate that the Conservation Commission continues to present quarterly. And the way we had that was every fifth Monday, if you hold to that schedule. And I respectfully request that we keep that. I also, now coming at from an angle of a resident, I want to also say that while I do agree that liaisons have a role, I feel like when I'm participating and watching these conversations as a resident, I do not feel like I have a full or deep understanding of what's going on, which is part of the reason why when I took the conservation chair, I felt strongly to advocate to come to the select board, summarize information in a very brief way, but yet very meaningful way. And I never saw that from all the other boards when the liaisons would present. So a lot of content was missed, and that forces folks like myself as a resident to have to go into each of those spaces to find the details. So as I think about you and your role, I feel like if you would consider having other boards come in on some cadence as well, to have them be responsible for providing information and decisions and soliciting input in a very public forum that's more manageable and digestible.
Thank you, Amy. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Amy, I was thinking the same thing. If I'm on a committee or whatever, if it's like housing task force, I'm there as a select board rep to hear what's going on in those discussions so I can represent that to the select board. But I agree with Amy. I think the chairs should come because that's a responsibility and we have enough to do, reporting and things that they can come and report from those different committees.
Do you have a thought on how, I think, I actually agree, I agree with that. I think what we should probably do and maybe come back prepared in a future meeting is to look at all committees, figure out, which ones could come when. And again, I'm a scheduler.
Yeah.
If they come quarterly and some start in February and some start in March and we just, rotate them around. It helps them to prepare and know, and we would like them to be here, and I'd like them to be here in person, not on
Right.
Zoom. And it also lets us know when they will come. Okay, is that something that seems reasonable to folks? Sure. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Is that enough for the rules of procedure? We're back up at the select board meeting schedule. Is the next item in here. Woody has, yeah, I know, Woody's,
Might be the first power.
is he getting the battery?
I don't know.
All right, Woody, we're at the meeting schedule.
Oh, sure.
And I think you might have an opinion on this.
Might go.
It might go. Yeah, yeah, give me one and you take the other. Look at this teamwork.
Hmm?
That connection.
I can hear you, but not able to see anything if you're trying to present.
Well, that's fine. Yeah. Honest.
We can hear Woody loud and clear, so it must be audio on his laptop.
I've got.
Yeah.
audio.
They just can't see us
Yeah.
unless we, start the video. Hold on. Yeah, go back there.
Says it's
Oh, that is so strange. Default,
set to go. Yeah. Well, unless.
No, that's the one.
Got the video now of Woody's laptop.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something wonky because we have to work with the extension, like I don't know what they call them. Is that still called a dongle? For the two USB-C inputs, and Howard doesn't, somehow the two don't always work together.
There is, but it shouldn't have gone out because it's plugged in. Yeah.
So this is just one of those at present technical mysteries for how to do both the OWL and Howard through the laptops at the same time. Because the dongle doesn't like it.
So we can proceed. Yeah.
Maybe turn the laptop around, Woody, so we're not staring right at you.
Thanks for that, I guess. You said turn the laptop around. We don't want to look at you.
No. There we go. We can see the broader room now.
There it goes.
It's just a short.
Yeah.
Don't move.
It just-
Don't
the owl-
even move.
Yeah, the owl. needs to be-
Did the owl come up?
Yeah, yeah, I saw it.
We can't see it here now.
Well, we can hear you, Beth,
I
Al.
can hear you.
Oh, now you have to change your audio. Do you, we don't want to touch anything? Do you want me to like? Roll it in
Yes,
the
sure.
room?
Start video, will it work?
Oops. Oh,
That's probably not what you're looking for.
no. We're better off with that. There's a select board meeting there.
There we go. Okay.
This is why.
Yeah, so. now we can-
I was gonna say,
That's
it's longer
good.
than your report.
That should work.
Can they hear us?
Yeah. We should be good.
We can hear you and we can actually see you now. Yep.
Yeah.
And it looks like the owl's working.
All right, the next agenda item is the meeting, the select board meeting schedule, and I think that there's been conversation to move it to a Tuesday night, first and third Tuesdays. I'd open it up to the select board if they have any comments on that.
At what time? Same time, 6:30?
What time you off?
Yep, it's your board.
I guess that was a question mark for everyone. I can be as early as 6, but I don't know about people, the public wanting to come that early. So 6:30 probably.
6:30 is probably safe. I don't know. Do you have any?
I used to like 7 o'clock, but, that gave me time to go home, walk the dog and have dinner. Now I walk the dog and have dinner.
Yeah.
You know, 6:30 can work if, people prefer. We were having pretty long meetings and I get it. If it gets to be, 10:30, 11 o'clock. people are-
I hope that that's not trying to continue.
no,
I have
I-
to tell
I-
you that,
Can we start at 6:30 and then if that's not working out for everyone?
yeah, can we try that? How about if we try 6:30, especially in the summer? We may have a different opinion. We'll all be out riding bikes or whatever, not get back here in time.
My only issue is, with this, is that, we specifically scheduled, revitalizing Waterbury meetings on Tuesdays to avoid conflicts on Mondays. So on the 17th of March and the 7th of April, I have already meetings that are going to be difficult to do.
What time do they start? Are they?
They start at 5:30 and go to 7.
You can be excited.
Why don't we do, yeah, if
You're gonna
you're,
be in 2 places at once?
well,
Or we could always move those meeting dates if we have to, I suppose.
We could,
Well, why
we could
don't
we
start
don't
those
have a
at 7.
quorum?
why don't we start those at 7, okay?
Okay.
So we'll set this, that moving forward, the meetings will start at 6:30, the first and third Tuesday of the month, but for the 17th, March 17th and April
7.
7th, they'll start at 7 PM. I'm gonna work really hard to keep our agendas so that the agenda items so that they don't go past 9 o'clock. I
Good luck
work,
with that.
I know, 9:30 maybe, but then I get really, I'm out of it, so. You guys elected the wrong person.
It's a good call. Good thing you weren't here. I'd steal this one. We were there until 11:30.
Well, you've got
6:30.
like 4 minutes to stay on this item.
I
so.
know. All right, so what's the next one is,
Any comments?
excuse me?
Yes, I
Can you come up and say your name and,
Valerie Rogers.
thanks, Sarah.
I do know that the open meeting law does actually recommend that agendas are as specific as possible. So the people, the public can know when to come and not to come. So this was kind of a big deal about changing it to a Tuesday and different time. So just a reminder about the open meeting law, and if you would not mind, maybe making your agenda as specific as possible so people can participate, which I know you all want more participation and transparency.
So can you identify what you mean more specific?
That
For
could have
example.
said select meeting schedule possible change of date,
Okay.
change of, week and time. People might,
That's a better definition.
Well,
Instead you said-
like you said, Martha, what about the public? Well, this meeting crept up, so for me, it was just a surprise.
It was a surprise to me too.
Okay, well, so all the more, like you would have known too. So, and it is a recommendation, and
Yeah.
I just hope, I think that it would be a nice thing to do. Thank you.
I agree. Yep. All right, anything else on this item? We're gonna move on to the paper of record and locations for posting the meeting notices. One of you two have to sort of take these items,
Okay,
because I don't know what you have.
As far as I know, the paper of record is the Times Argus, so I think by state statute, it has to be a paper.
Yep.
And then, but we also recognize the Waterbury roundabout. It's another place where, meetings are, agendas are posted. And I believe, both post offices, the,
Office here.
and the office here, where the things are physically posted.
Can we add some porch form to that though? I don't know if we can, but probably not as a,
Do you know their policy?
I've been posting it myself, but.
I don't think that that's a particularly
The agenda.
good practice. I think that keeping it with a recognized news media
Right.
is a consistent and safe process.
So I make a motion what Roger just, what he said about this. So
So-
Times Argus.
Yeah,
I just want to note for the different posting venues that through the website, we also, for those who subscribe to
Yep.
the select board
Yep.
updates, also receive those notices. So that is another way that we are disseminating them.
Right, but this is a
Okay,
paper of record.
this is
a
paper
legal
of record,
thing,
right.
I mean,
You've got
We
this.
can do all kinds of other things.
right. Exactly.
But the location of postings was also, not the paper of record, but the location of postings.
Yep.
Martha?
I just wanted to, note that the several of the items that are listed here are statutory. And a paper of record that has at least most daily, is required. Electronic bulletin boards are not recognized yet at this stage of the game. And physical locations for postings are also required. And this is part of the sort of organizational work that a select board needs to do upon forming the new body, so.
Great, thank you. Lisa?
Everybody, welcome. Lisa Spillier from the Waterbury Roundabout. As Carol says, there's a couple things that we're talking about here in terms of what gets disseminated for information. And she's right in that this item that's on the agenda has to do with the formal public notices. And so there's public information and there's public notices, and the public notices are the statutory things that have to be publicized, like public hearings, annual meeting warnings, special articles, ordinances, adoptions of things, like where you have to have like a hearing and you have to have things publicized. Different than just like, oh, the, Conservation Commission is meeting or the Select Board is meeting, because you've got your own very powerful website that you can be using to disseminate that, as Cheryl notes, that you've got a system to even people subscribe to get that information and stuff. Since the roundabout started in 2020, I guess we probably made a couple different changes, but probably starting in like 2021 or so. The notices that go to the Times Argus that fall in that category have also been coming to the Waterbury roundabout.
From us, or did they come from the Times Argus to you?
No, the notices from the town. So when the town
Yeah,
has
the
a
town's
notice.
issuing it.
Right.
The way you said that, I thought you were saying that the Times Argus forwards them to you. and
No,
I
no,
thought, Really?
But the notices that go to the Times Argus also are sent to
you. Thank
the
you.
Waterbury roundabout.
Thank
So I would ask, being the local online news site that has a lot of following in the community, as far as if this is public notice, where will the public actually notice these? I would suggest that you're not probably gonna be reaching very many people by putting this on a random page 7 of the Times Argus on a Tuesday. People don't know to look in, you have to be reading the newspaper every day, every page to find these things in the print paper. And I'm a subscriber, so I'm a fan of the Times Argus. Not to disparage that, it's just a different, where are people looking for information? What's the easiest way to get it to them? And so we've really appreciated that. We have a spot, if you look at the Waterbury Roundabout website, there's a spot at the top of the homepage, says public notices. Click on that, and there's town notices, there's education notices. We just posted one today for the school district. They have an opening on the school board for the spot in Moortown. So that's already out there as of town meeting day. And so we can tell that people are clicking on that page and they're reading the stuff. I have to say, in the last 6 months or so, it's been very spotty in terms of which notices have been coming to us. But I've seen things in the Times Argus that I have not received at the Waterbury Roundabout, and I've tried at different times and sometimes they come from the town clerk, sometimes they come from the town manager, sometimes they come from the zoning administrator. I have to say, Cheryl's been great about getting them to us in the last couple months now since she's been here. She's been sending us some public hearing notices. But it has been sort of spotty. So I would just ask that, if we can keep that sort of, someone who's doing these, we just send them to both places at the same time.
Right.
And this isn't every meeting. These are the more sort of special, specific things that need to be publicly warned, that will go to the newspaper. In another era, months down the road, I'd be happy to open up this conversation again, because as it turns out, the statute does not require that it is in a paper. And this is one of this falls under this is the way we've always done things. And so Secretary of State's office has opted not to advocate to change the law, because they say that the law doesn't say that it has to be a newspaper printed on paper. It has to be a newspaper of general circulation that's in your community, and it could be up to the community to decide, to the bodies, whether it's school board or select board, to decide where do you think your notices are going to have the most visibility to the people who you're trying to reach.
So does the statute allow, can you name 2 publications?
You sure
Paper
could.
record?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
'cause I know
Absolutely.
it read that the Waterbury was alternate. I read that somewhere.
It was in last year's.
Yeah, I don't think it was this, it was listed as an
So
alternate,
you
yeah.
can't make 2 publications be the.
Yeah, it wasn't meant to be, it was both, it was just listed as both. I know the school board does the Valley Reporter, the Times Argus, and the Waterbury Roundabout.
Well, I like best practice. I'm saying
Yeah.
it's a legal statute, and you do paper of record for 2 different publications.
Yeah.
You could have
Well,
one.
you could do
Okay.
more,
Oh,
as
yeah.
long as they do the.
Yeah, in fact,
That's
the
all.
select board, back when the Waterbury Record was publishing a print paper in town weekly, the select board still had the print newspaper, weekly and the print newspaper daily, both of them, because most of the time the weekly would be fine, but occasionally there would be the need to get something published quicker than the weekly cycle of the
Yeah.
weekly paper, and the daily paper would be able to, was a backup. So I think back in the day when the Waterbury Record was in business, that was sort of the first spot that they would get published in, and then if they needed it, they would go in the Times Argus too.
To Don's point last year, Roger's motion was adopt the Times Argus as paper of record and also send notices to the Waterbury Roundabout.
Exactly.
That isn't the same as adopting it as a paper of record.
And I think that was sort of why things kind of slid too, because it was like, oh, well, oh, sorry, oh, we didn't mean to, but I mean, you couldn't just say, oh, sorry, if it was going to the Times Argus, you couldn't just, skip it.
So in our situation, current situation, who is the one
For Jim Times Argus.
responsible for getting the notice posted?
Yes.
It would depend on what type of
And
notice
what
it
about
is. As she said, zoning sends notices,
Select board notices.
select board notices. I think you got elected chair.
Excuse me?
So,
Well, an example of a select board notice would be, the select board is having a hearing on February 17th. It's a public hearing for the bond vote. That was something that needed to be warned, because that was published in the Times Argus. That did not get sent to us. And so that wasn't it wasn't on the roundabout.
Yeah, I'm just asking
Yeah.
the select board members for the town manager, you know, who would normally, it literally, it's a physical task to do. And
Yeah,
I'm just
it would.
curious, when somebody says, we gotta post this, whose ears go up and go, oh, I gotta do something. That's what I'm
Okay.
trying to figure out.
Yeah, I mean, if you have something to be posted, you would direct staff, you can direct staff to
You.
do it, or the clerk, or whomever you
We
choose.
don't
I mean, to Lisa's last issue, we did not have a full-time clerk
Right,
that lived in, the town manager was on his way out the door, so,
I will say
If
that if
you're-
I'm already posting
I was
it
gonna
on the website and I'm also the one delivering it to the post offices, it is just as easy for me to
I was gonna
shoot it
say,
in an email to Lisa, who I talk to every day anyway.
yeah, if we can establish that if there's a select board notice that needs to get posted,
Mhm.
our minute taker, I don't know your official role here, that your.
Minute taker.
Minute taker.
Yeah.
Will be the one that will take care of getting it posted. That's-
Yeah, I can do that, because I also, I have established a relationship with the person at the Times Argus, because I've been sending the DRB notices to both. And so
Thanks,
those are quick emails for me to
Okay.
send out.
and Amy has her hand up as well.
Okay. Amy?
Sorry, well, I just wanted to clarify some definition here. The way the statute reads, and I'm not an legal expert, but I do think there's a nuance here. It says it shall mean a newspaper published in the county where the subject matter is situated, not necessarily the community. So while I 100% agree that the Waterbury record should be in this loop, I think because we're very close to Waterbury. For example, local option tax implicates Duxbury, and that is in a county, but not necessarily subscribers of the Waterbury roundabout. So I think someone might want to follow up on this and make sure that they understand that I believe there is a nuance here, that there's a requirement at a county level.
Well, I hear you, Amy, but I think we've already designated that we're going to do the Times Argus, which is Duxbury's in the county of the Times
Perfect.
Argus. And we're going beyond that by adding the Waterbury record. So-
Perfect. I thought I was hearing the argument go the alternate, where Waterbury record was the first, and
No.
then, gotcha. Thank you.
Yes, we're gonna do two.
It's the render Waterbury record
Oh,
ended in
what did I
twenty twenty,
say? I know,
yes.
sorry. I meant
If
to
the
round it
Waterbury
up.
record was still around, I would be doing something else.
No. Sorry. My apologies.
Okay.
I meant.
I would also submit that the Waterbury roundabout is definitely in our county, it's in our state.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to give you a list of our subscribers. We probably reach more people in Duxbury than the Times Argus does. There's no place to buy a Times
Right.
Argus in the town of Duxbury. We have a very large readership in the Mad River Valley and in Duxbury and in Barry and Montpelier and Stowe and Bolton and Middlesex and Moretown, et cetera. So the fact that it's on the internet makes it accessible to everybody. So, and that's, but anyway, thank you for including it. I appreciate it. I haven't said anything today just because I know things have been very much in flux and this seemed like a very low priority. But if we could just go on forward, whatever checks the box for the Times Argus, if you could check the box for whatever I recommend that, I would appreciate that. Thanks, Cheryl.
Thank you. All right. I think we're gonna move on to the next item, which is.
Do we need to make a formal motion? Because it's a statute, but,
As you did last year,
As we did.
Roger did last year.
so,
Thank you. You wanna take a motion?
I'll restate it. I move that both the Times Argus and the Waterbury roundabout be the
Papers of record.
papers of record for.
Do you want to include the locations of the postings?
Oh, I will also include the locations of the postings, which are the bulletin board of the municipal offices, the Waterbury post office, and the Waterbury Center post office.
One second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Warrant authorization?
Yeah, so that's what Roger has a pile of in front of him. I think last time around, did you appoint just one person to sign them last time around, Roger? or
All five of us, eligible to sign.
And that basically means we can pay our bills. So.
Essentially, this is allowed by statute, a municipal body is allowed to name one or more members to serve as the representative for the body, particularly in those weeks between meetings.
So you pay payroll, accounts payable every week. The law requires the legislative body to sign a warrant that lists the, and in that paper, on the papers over there, there's all the vendors, there's invoices that. And the legislative body has to sign it. And it used to be that a majority of the legislative body has to sign it. Now the law allows the body to, as Carol said, one or more than one member. So since this has been allowed, the board has always appointed all of them, but only requiring one to sign.
So where we get the work to the select board person here.
So would someone just come in every other week? When they're
Every
not-
week.
I mean,
Every week.
but I mean, who,
Usually on
do you-
Tuesdays.
do they
Usually
call
it's Mike
someone?
Bard, he was no
Okay.
longer with us.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If there's somebody that's assigned to
Yes,
come in.
so,
And then
That's it's up to you folks.
I'll move that all four of the current select board members be approved to sign warrants on behalf of the town.
I'll second.
And only one needs.
And only what needs to sign.
anyone.
Any ones. Represent the select board.
And I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
The only thing I heard was that somebody has to come in weekly, so who, we want to show up, that Sandy shows up in time.
How did you, well, you said.
The town clerk will send out a message to all of us saying the warrants are ready to be signed. And one of us will respond. Sometime, and that's a difficult
Yeah.
part of our communication because of the open meeting law. But generally, I would ask Mike by text, Mike, can you go pick him up? And he would go and pick him up and sign him off, or somebody else would come here. So, and then I would check by at least Wednesday with the town clerk. Have they been signed? If not, I would send them.
So I'll take that responsibility on, even though, and if I can't make it, I could
That would be great.
email some folks about that regularly.
That would be great. I just,
Is that all right, Sam?
You're
I can be, but I love it that he's taking
Yeah,
this one.
I
on.
would-
Sandy, is that okay? I mean,
Oh,
Roger,
absolutely.
I'm happy.
Yeah, no, it's great.
If I can't do it, I'll have.
It's,
Yeah.
you just check the invoices against the summary sheet and make sure that the thing makes sense. I usually look at the larger numbers.
Yeah.
And the
Smart.
clerk will notify you to come in, right? When they're ready.
And I'll let her know, we'll let her know, but
Yeah, just.
And in the off chance that you find something on the warrants that you don't understand, you should talk to the manager. Don't go talk to the highway foreman.
No.
or The planning director or whatever. The manager should be the person you talk to.
So with that, I'm understanding that you've already seen them or you know what's being paid.
Well,
Sometimes.
no, you folks know what's being
Yeah.
paid.
Okay,
Um, This past week, Alyssa came to me here the last time she signed and said, what's this? And I routinely know what it is.
right, but you're not, okay, gotcha.
Right, so
That's fine.
The
And-
signatures on.
And, you know, we have I think you still have the whole expense coding system, right? So department heads, they get their bills, they put an expense coding sheet together, it goes to the bookkeeper. Manager is one of the people that does expense codings for certain things. So it could be that you go to the manager and say, what's this? And the manager has to say, I'll get back to you, because they don't necessarily know. I was just suggesting that you should talk to the manager, if not, staff.
No, yeah, I would strongly.
I have time, but not that much.
Yeah. All right, anything else on the warrant authorization? Are we good? We, made
Yes,
the
I believe you're
motion.
good.
Let's see, where are we?
Okay,
We have a
second
motion
it.
and
All
a
right, we
second.
have a motion and a second. We just need a vote when there's no further discussion.
Yeah, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, I think we're all approved. Conflict of interest policy.
Yeah, you most likely haven't had time to read it. I believe it's posted on that bulletin board and it's probably on the website for sure.
It's on the website.
I would suggest you just skip over it, but until you have a chance to read it and
Oh,
Yeah.
that's 'cause
It's also training that's mandatory to the state that everyone has to.
the
take.
code of ethics. Yeah, I already did that.
Bill, do you know if that has to be done every year or? it's done
Every 3.
Every 3 years? I'm just gonna use that.
you're good.
Yeah, I just did it. Do
That's it. And
you want us to send you the?
yeah, you should. We have Rogers.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, the certification. You're sending it to Bill?
Yeah. I assume.
Or the clerk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or both, there you go.
And I should mention here that I did recognize the conflict of interest because of I serve as the executive director for Revitalizing Waterbury, which receives funding from the town. And I have filed a statement on how I can mitigate that conflict of interest by refusing myself in a discussion or decision involving funding for Revitalizing Waterbury. You'd like to share that with our member?
where's that on file?
Good question. I sent it to Tom Lights and I don't know where. Where it's on file, perhaps with our attorney.
Okay, I'll look. Yeah.
Does that, you have a public side, so
Yeah.
I have sent it to her as well, so.
And
I would suggest that you send it to, I think to her as well, but if you already have.
I sent it to her, yeah. As soon after she was appointed.
All right, next one is the open meeting law training requirements. You said you already did it? No, you did the code of ethics,
I haven't done that one. I watched it, but I haven't done it.
the training, right? The training is Sarah Copeland. Oh. Oh,
Is it online or something?
yeah,
Yes.
But I will do that.
Yes.
37 minutes.
37 minutes.
Secretary Sarah Copeland.
And the open meeting law is posted over there as well, requirements on the law. And there's numerous trainings through BLCT if you choose to go that route. A lot of good information there.
Yep.
They typically have a select board training event every year, mostly geared to newly elected folks. One thing that you should know if you decide to take it is that there are only between 40 and 50 towns and cities in the state that actually have town or city managers. And the training is more geared to towns that the select board acts as the executive as well as the legislative branch. And I used to encourage them to try to include something there about towns where the select board have a manager, because just so you're aware, if you look in the state statutes and look at the authority and responsibility of select boards in towns where there's a manager, all of that authority and all of that responsibility is situated with the town manager's position, with the exception of very few things. So the town manager cannot incur debt for the town on his own. It requires a action legislative body. But most of the select board's authority and responsibility is formed by and held by the town manager. So just be.
I think the upcoming training actually is at the Stowe Lake or something.
Yeah,
Maybe.
it's still worth going, but in case they don't cut it, that's where you should go.
That's good.
And you don't have to go there, but you gotta,
It's online, you
Yeah,
can
and
do
they
it
also have a-
virtual or.
yeah, they have a
online,
web, you can see the webinar.
Yeah.
And is there a charge for those
but
trainings?
$28.
Is it not if you're a member of the LCC?
Well, it goes to,
If you go virtually and you're a member of the LCC.
all four options at $20.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. Well, they might have changed it this year.
And in the past, the town has paid for it.
Yeah, and then that already had, I already registered and she's got it. and so,
So will there,
Township,
Yeah,
it's places in the budget, should be
Right.
places in the budget, but I think it's expense to.
they've done training for the planning commission and stuff, so, yeah. Been very. Any further discussion on the open meeting requirements? We're gonna move on to discussion of filling the select board vacancy.
Roger sent some stuff around, and I think Carol has some information on that.
Yeah, there's, the 24 VSA section 261 has specific language that says that if there's a vacancy, the select board posts notice of it within 10 days of the creation of the vacancy. So we've got 10 days from this past Tuesday, to post notice, in the recently adopted papers of record and the places where you post notice. What traditionally happens or has happened in other communities is in that notice, you say there's a vacancy. You're going to fill the vacancy until the next town meeting. So it would be until next March. Usually you encourage people to send letters of interest to somebody in the municipal office, whether it's the manager or the clerk or whatever. It's usually the clerk if there's a, yeah. And those letters, there's a date certain by which the letters need to be received. And then they're shared with the select board members. The select board members then interview the people who have expressed an interest at a select board meeting. The interviews are in open session. And then you can, in executive session, you can have a discussion around the various people. And then, of course, you would come out of the executive session to make an appointment.
Is it 10 business days or calendar days? Calendar days.
So we should get that out.
17th. Yeah, it's gotta be out by next Friday. Yes,
I'll move to post a notice of vacancy for the select board position. As I understand it, Carol, the appointment would be until the next town meeting.
Correct.
Even though King had 2 years.
Right, and that, at next town meeting, there would be a vacancy for the 1 year remaining on that particular seat to get the seat back on schedule.
But that would be elected. That would go on to the ballot.
Correct. And I do believe, Woody, you said that you got information from the League of Cities and Towns, a form,
template,
a template for the notice.
Okay,
So,
For the notice of the vacancy.
correct.
Opposed.
Yeah.
So my motion is to authorize the town manager to post the notice of the vacancy. And I'll suggest that the deadline be set for the 3rd of April.
That's
For
3
letters of
yeah,
interest
that's
and
3 weeks.
Posting is,
Okay,
yeah, posted.
anyone
I'll
second?
second that.
All right,
Do you want to make note in the notice as to when the people what meeting they will have the interviews at? It's usually included so that they know
Okay.
when they would need to be prepared to come to the select board meeting. So
Right,
whatever,
Second meeting in April.
what,
Well, if they're
Or it
gonna
could be
come on
the
the 3rd, the first meeting is gonna be the 7th. And so
so it could be.
it could be the 7th.
Yeah,
I don't see
we have to
waiting.
share the letters, make sure depending on how much.
Well, right. They have, that's a Friday. I mean, they're gonna come electronically and we have the
Okay.
weekend and Monday to look at them. And, that we can do the interviews on the,
That's Tuesday.
on the seventh, okay?
Okay.
And we'll put it at the end of the agenda. I thought, Evan, you want to?
I was just wondering if you could repeat what section of statute that was covered under.
24 VSA 261.
Anyone else?
I think it's 961. I think it's 961, isn't it?
Is it?
It doesn't cover. It's either 961 or 262.
It's not 260.
Okay, then it's 9.
961.
There. All right, let's see, we have a motion and we have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right. What's our next item here on my,
This is where you would add in the random note.
thank you. I put too many notes in my notes. There it is, down here. All right, 7:20. I just wanted to put this on the agenda for, because there's a deadline to respond to the state's grant by March 16th. And I just wanted to be sure we're on track to meeting all the additional requirements.
We do not have all the requirements met. We're gonna most likely ask for an extension, which, as I understand it, is common. We don't have site control yet. It has,
Yeah, I do think I've gone through that application pretty intensely. And so I'd like to talk to you about it. I agree. I was hoping we would be able to just write that explanation.
yes, I think that's the best way to go
Right.
because of the timeline of these meetings and, the
Well,
bond
and
just had.
The past, I get it. I'm right there. I just wanted to acknowledge that we do have work to do, to be able to meet that, and that date is coming up fast.
I don't know if the subdivision of the property is part of any of that, but I have the permit application and it actually can do administrative review pretty quickly and it is on my priority list for tomorrow. So I should actually have the permit for the subdivision of the land by end of day tomorrow,
Okay, I guess,
if that
why
matters.
don't we connect on when that letter is gonna go in? I just wanna know that extension request letter is drafted and ready to go to the state.
Yep.
Let's say, I'm gonna be out of pocket on the 14th, 13th. Well, the end of next week is gonna be tough for me, but, all right. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure we were.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. All right, the next agenda item is the select board and interim municipal manager updates. So select board, you have updates?
I don't know, Raj, what?
I do have a update from the rec committee that was the week before the town meeting. We discussed the rec field house, the proposed rec field house.
Oh,
The one that's under
The study?
discussion, yeah, and that has been sort of put on hold. The current rec director feels like it's important for her to establish that they can, how they're taking care of and maintaining the current facilities first, and then really determine whether they're going to start looking at some of the projected potential revenue that could be collected on this proposed field house. But I said, with this new development of Random Meadow, in all likelihood, that's not going to move very quickly this year.
Can I ask a question?
Okay.
I just was in all of the intake of information, it's like clouding my head right now.
Mhm.
There was something about a $17,000 study. Is that what you're referring to? Oh, cool. I got it.
So that money was expended and they did, some of the, early projected engineering of a, new field house, that would be built, adjacent to where the pool is now. That would contain approximately 2 basketball courts, and cost in the neighborhood of, I think it was about $8 million. But,
Was there a deliverable for this study? Is there a product, a report?
I wasn't that involved with this,
No, I thought the rec committee.
yeah, recommending,
There's some preliminary plans and a preliminary budget and a site plan and,
Okay, and who has that kind of material? Who holds on to that?
I must have it somewhere.
yeah.
I was in the meeting. so-
Erica Linsky.
Becky Recker? Oh,
I'll have that.
Yeah, actually, so I think it's pinned on a wall up there, but it's preliminary site plans and.
Yeah. So, yeah, we can get more information about that. They also said, from a select board standpoint, you know, there's a lot more work has to go into this before we're gonna be ready to
okay.
propose it. And then, the other item was, the connectivity, initiative, that was started by, a subgroup of the rec committee. And they proposed to work together with, Revitalizing Waterbury, and, the rec director, and the National Park Service, Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance team that's working with Waterbury as well as 4 other communities within the municipal watershed, looking at how to do both flood mitigation and recreation at the same time. And so what was proposed was to have a Waterbury Trails Summit. And right now we're looking at the 30th of April in this room, which is a Thursday night.
I think that's great. I'll tell you from the planning commission with my other hat on for a second, from the planning commission's perspective, a lot of comments from through the visioning session and the survey, for engagement of identifying and connecting the network of trail, opportunities and existing systems. So I think it's really helpful to have the rec committee, highlighting that effort. I mean, that's part of their mission according to the website anyway. And so it's actually gonna appear in the town plan to promote, advancing those kinds of activities, non-motorized trailing systems, and in the flooding, flood mitigation. The nice synergy. Yeah.
Right, was it on the planning commission?
I think it's Robbie Adler has a rec section. I'm sure it's Rob, I don't know, but, yeah. Yeah, I did mention it, and then it'll come up on, we're actually doing, I'll just sort of parlay into the planning commission for a second, if you're all set. Monday night, is community services and, historic, cultural, called aspiration goals and objective goals and strategies, which is the meat of each chapter. And the community services is a new chapter from our perspective. It's a little bit of a catch-all. It's not, it's like childcare and churches and recreation and the services that are in the community, but not necessarily municipal services. So it's a little bit of a catch-all. It's weaker at the moment. I think our conversation on Monday night with our consultant is going to identify some additional services to include in there. Education is in there because the town, it's not the town's school, but we need to, we want to include education as a, and the senior center. All the ones that come into my head here, I'm a little random here, but, anyway. That's what's gonna.
You're talking this coming Monday, like 4 days.
Yeah.
Trying to.
I was posting at the post offices about it.
Yeah.
I'm on it.
Yeah, I'll be out of town, but I'm glad to forward you the strategic plan of the finance.
We already have. Yep. Yeah, we've gotten tremendous, I would say, I think I'm very excited about the input that we've received from all of the organization, NGOs and clubs, and we've just, there's something like over 40 different entities within the area that we've reached out to, and we've heard from pretty much everybody in one way or another, whether they have a comments on the specific plan or chapter, or have some goals and objectives of their own, then really good. And I guess I could probably say on Monday, I'm gonna resign from the planning commission to be able to focus on the select board. So. Did I see? Did I see a hand up? Yes.
I was gonna ask if you were gonna still maintain your chair position, but you answered that. So, I know that you could.
I know, I was asked, and I said I am a little crazy, but I'm not that crazy. Anyone online, are we all good over there?
All good.
Woody,
Yeah, not a lot to add. Moving forward, I will ask if Carol wants to inform us, we now have had an election, and we have, a couple seats that nobody was on the ballot for, and I'd like Carol, if you just fill us in on that.
It just actually that exact same section of statute that we were talking about a minute ago, subsection D of that addresses that if someone has been elected, they actually have 30 days to choose whether they want to accept the seat or not. We did have someone who received enough write-in votes for both the clerk position and the treasurer position. That person has 30 days to decide whether they want to accept it or not. If they don't get sworn in at the end of that 30 days, they do have to be, there's a process that the select board has to go through. They have to invite, they have to warn as part of a regular meeting, they have to warn an opportunity for this person to come in and take the oath at the select board meeting. Once that has come and gone without the oath being administered, the position is then considered, or positions are considered vacant.
so the person doesn't have to decline, they can.
Well, she can certainly
Well, they
decline,
can.
but she can also just
Let
let her
it
30
lapse.
days
Okay,
run out.
that's what I was
Yes.
wondering.
But if
Yeah.
the 30 days run out, you still have to warn the meeting. At that point, we have to warn the meeting.
Yeah,
Right, to
Specifically-
sort of codify the,
Offer the.
So if the person resigns by, let's say, a letter, right, you don't have to do the meeting with it?
Yeah.
That's separate.
correct, then it's
If they-
So
considered,
then we're open.
Right.
They decline, not resign.
yes.
right.
Decline, you said resign.
Well, resign, yeah.
Yeah.
Decline.
So at that point in time, if you get to that point, the 30-day window has closed and you have had this opportunity at a meeting, and that opportunity has come and gone, then both positions would be treated like you're treating the vacancy on the select board. You would post the notice, you would solicit, letters of interest, because it is an elected position, you would go through the same process of making an appointment until next year. Both positions would be on the ballot next year for the 1 year. Trying to remember, is it 2 years with your?
It's a 3-year
3 years,
position
so it
now.
would be, so it would be for the remaining time on the.
How many is it?
Which is 1 year.
It's 1 year.
1 year remains.
I did have, someone pose the question as to, did anybody else receive, because we had a lot of write-ins. Did anyone else receive enough write-ins, for either position? And nobody did, but even if they did, there's no such thing as second place winners. So that wouldn't wouldn't matter any, so.
And along that same line, is any consideration given to the number of votes received by other members of the people who were candidates for the select board that didn't weren't elected?
I don't understand. your question. That's okay.
Just, in appointing, in those appointments, is any consideration given for those that were running for the position, received a number of votes, but didn't win the election?
Okay, I understand your question now. I think it's the same category as there's no such thing as a second, third, or fourth place winner.
Right.
You basically, it's a clean slate. Obviously, the select board in your executive session discussions can take into consideration anything you want.
Right.
But there's no leg up because somebody happens to receive some votes out of recent town.
There's no legal.
Right.
The board wants to give consideration to that, they can, but you can only give consideration to that if the persons who ran and didn't win send you a letter.
Right.
So yes, it's still based on the letter of interest.
Yeah.
and-
And the interviews.
Could you, just a second, there was a lot going on in there and I was trying to write, so I just want to make sure I got it right. So 30 days is April 3rd. And so if we don't hear anything.
It's actually April 2. Because
Okay.
there's 31 days in March.
Yeah, so if we don't hear anything by then, we post, do we have a limited time
You
for
would-
posting then?
If you don't hear anything within 30 days, if something hasn't been settled within 30 days,
Right.
at your very next meeting, you would
Next
warn
meeting,
this
okay.
opportunity for
That's what,
this person, to come in and take the oath of oaths for the office.
So that would be.
Well, no,
April 7th.
right, I know, but I'm saying if there's nothing,
You
then
have
we
to go
don't
through
have,
that first.
wait, if there's nothing, if there's no correspondence, no decision, 30 days lapse, then we have to turn around and post.
No,
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
you have to, there's this interim step. The 30 days passes and then the select board must, at an open meeting, warn an opportunity for this person to come in and take the oath at the
Oh,
meeting.
then, okay.
And if that doesn't happen, then you start the posting
For the vacancy.
process
All
for
right.
the vacancy.
So if nothing happens on April 2nd, through your next meeting after that would be the 7th, you would have to put it on your agenda that the person who
Right.
had those votes has to come in. They can come into the meeting and still decide, they don't have to come to the meeting. If they come to the meeting, they don't have to take the vote, but you have to offer that out.
Taking the oath
Yeah.
would make it official.
Correct.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Knew I was
So-
missing a step.
Does that beg the question as to who will be serving in the capacity of clerk and treasurer?
Well, that's a different conversation, I think, because sounds like we're gonna have some open seats here. I'm just asking how long Beth is gonna be here and Carol's gone, what, next week?
End of next week.
Yeah, so we do have a.
Don't look at me like
So,
You're looking pretty comfortable on that.
Yes.
so I'm gonna ask the question, maybe I'm wrong, but, so right now, well, I don't know if right now. Since January 2nd, I have been the town treasurer, the interim
Right.
town treasurer, appointed to fill the vacancy.
faces.
But as Roger just asked, the vacancy that was, came into place on January 2nd. I filled that position, but it was on the ballot. You know, even though Karen still had another year to go, she created a vacancy by resigning. That position was up for election. Somebody has got enough votes to be town treasurer if they want to, but haven't decided that yet. April 7th is one race. Is it not the case that I continue in the position of treasurer until my successor has been duly appointed?
Bill.
Or do they have to,
You,
or do they have to post a notice now and ask for people to serve until maybe April 7th?
I don't know. Legally, I have no idea. I don't know if you, I mean, I'm an assistant, so I don't have to, I'm in a different position, but, if you said tomorrow, I'm gone.
Right.
I don't know, that then creates a vacancy.
No, I
And
understand.
so it's, does the
Well,
select
your
board
question
then
was,
have
you
to?
just stay on
It's,
until.
it's my understanding until a newly
Right.
appointed
Until
elected
somebody,
takes it
newly
over.
elected or appointed fills the position.
Right,
That's
So-
my understanding.
that was.
So I wasn't intending to give my notice of resignation from the position of town treasurer today, but I just want to make sure.
We wouldn't accept it. We wouldn't have accepted it.
I just want to make sure that.
Yeah.
that
Yeah, that's my
the position
Yeah.
is still
Because you're
filled.
elected but not official,
Yeah,
you know,
Yeah,
until
yeah.
you take the oath.
yeah,
So
That's-
I'm not going anywhere
thank you.
for
Bill.
the time being. And then with
I
regard to the.
So back to your question, back to your question of who, what happens when Beth is gone? Right,
We have to appoint someone.
right,
What is her timeframe? Did she give them a specific date notice?
2 months ago.
Well,
Last I asked her, she said she'd be willing to stay a week or two after, town meeting.
And
But what I'd like to do, because of the fact that Beth has been overworked, and Carol's now on her second long day this week. Thank you, Carol.
Yeah.
yeah, so
I did a full day as Berry City Treasurer.
Yeah,
And then came here, so.
I think the public can expect, reduced hours from the town clerk's office until these items are resolved.
And Woody and I have talked about what sort of the bare minimum would need to be, what there are some statutory requirements around land records that, you know, would be easy to do on a short-term basis anyway.
So my concern is, right, so if Beth, you know, aiming what she has done, wants to be done in 2 or 3 weeks, because the end of March or so on. April, the 30 days is up, no one commits, that means we have no town clerk. And how does that?
Correct me if I'm wrong, we have to have
I,
Okay.
So-
but I'm just saying.
So, can I make a
Yes,
suggestion?
Yeah.
please.
I would suggest, even though before this discussion started, I listened to Carol and said, what's the situation with the town clerk? And she said, well, there's 30 days that the person who won has to choose to take the thing. I don't think there's anything wrong. I would strongly suggest that the select board authorize chair of the select board to reach out to the person who won and have a conversation about, do you want the job? And, you know, we all know who we're talking about,
Right,
but I think it would be incumbent upon this select board to try to push
Right.
this
Mhm.
quicker than just kind of let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And, you know, discussing it, I'm sure there are certain issues about.
Right, right.
can I ask so even in a bigger picture, if they were to want to take the 30 days to think about it, is there any reason we shouldn't be actually getting a job posting out for the assistant town clerk?
That has been out.
It's out,
It's been out.
okay.
Okay.
How long has it been out?
6 weeks.
We already had a round of interviews.
What?
Oh, you
We
have?
already had a round of interviews.
Oh,
So maybe I missed something.
Yeah.
Maybe I missed something in the 3 years that I've been on. And Carol's here. So my understanding of the law always was that an elected town clerk had the authority to appoint his or her assistant or assistants. So I'm not sure that who's interviewing for the assistant town clerk job, because I'm not sure that whomever becomes town clerk and town treasurer for that matter, it doesn't have to be the same person, but I don't think there's anything that says that town clerk has to accept that person as town.
So what's the-
It gets murkier when they're an employee of the town and covered by a union contract. It gets murkier
you're talking about the assessment.
as far, I know, yes,
The assessment.
that I'm not sure what authority the clerk could actually have to tell an assistant that is an employee of the town under the union contract that you're being let go.
They're not elected, though. The assistant clerk is never elected.
No, but they are an employee with all
They're an
the
employee of the
rights
town.
of the,
And they're
The
being
town clerk is
appointed.
also an employee in all
Yeah.
rights,
Yeah.
except for, the select board can't fire, nobody can fire the town clerk.
Right.
But
And
are
I
you
know
saying
the
the town
union
clerk
is
is
new.
hiring?
Well, Karen, Carla first was elected as town clerk and she appointed that. And the personnel policy at the time just said town clerk was entitled to all the benefits of a full-time employee, provided the town clerk worked a number of hours to receive the health insurance benefit. The assistant town clerk was always a 20-hour position in the past. I don't know if it still is. And that position was entitled to, even though she was appointed or the person was appointed by the town clerk, that position was entitled to all the benefits that a 20-hour a week person got. They didn't get health insurance, but they got paid holidays, they got sick time, and they got vacation time on a pro rata basis, just like any other 20-hour employee got. As I understand it, and I'm not trying to argue here,
No.
it's just kind of Pandora's boxes. So, as I understand it, the way the union contract works is that the employees get to choose whether they want to be in the union. It might be a position that's covered by them, but the person who accepts the job doesn't have to be in the union, do they?
No,
No.
So,
but if they're not in the union, but the position is still in the bargaining unit, it's essentially the same as being in the union. Yeah, I don't buy it either, but I'm.
Hiring the assistant.
I mean-
And Beth has been involved with the interviews.
Yeah.
And
outside of the union, maybe the union contract is what changes this whole thing.
Right.
If we didn't have a union right, I believe the statute says town clerk gets to appoint the assistant.
That's what I'm.
it still gets gray, particularly when all of the revenue in the clerk's office goes into the general fund and the assistant is paid out of the general fund, which budget is not controlled by the clerk. It just becomes really gray in
Can
there.
I switch the conversation back to our media needs?
Yeah.
I agree that somebody, the chair, if you're so willing to talk to the person who's, received the votes, to see what the contention is, because I agree not waiting 30 days. I think the hiring process, are you guys offering something, or where are you at with the interview with the assistant?
And who has been interviewed?
I mean, we've interviewed and have not found a successful candidate.
Right, so can that be held off until we figure out what?
Everything could be held off. Front office staff is down to the bare minimum, running
Right,
razzle.
the danger then
I
is,
fully understand the town clerk can appoint their assistant, knew that going in, thought it was best, let's get somebody in a position.
Right.
I wouldn't expect a newly elected town clerk to come in and say, sorry, you're gone, my sister-in-law is gonna take the job.
Right. I'm with you.
So the decision to move forward to try to hire somebody for the assistant town clerk and the admin needs that we were needing as well was put out there again.
and that was my concern, because then you hire a new, clerk that wasn't elected. how does that try, you know?
Yes.
And I think the difference too is that the assistant town clerk and an administrative coordinator, those roles are merged in this single role that we're looking to fill as a full-time role.
And in the need, the fact that the clerk had resigned January 2nd, the need was like, okay, maybe we can hire somebody who could fill the void as assistant town clerk and the admin need. You know, and even if they, you know, best case scenario, they lived in town and you could appoint them as town clerk, you know.
And I guess, Carol's description of this gray area maybe answers the question, because the question that I had was, how can you have an assistant town clerk if you don't even have a town clerk? If this gray area says, well, the town clerk is elected as kind of an employee and the assistant, and by virtue of the fact that you're the assistant, you get to do the things that the town clerk and the town, you know.
That's essentially statute. A statute basically says that the assistant clerk shall have all the powers and authority of a clerk in the circumstances where a clerk is indisposed, incapacity, absent, blah, blah, blah. So, so you can, at least for a short period of time, have an assistant without actually having a clerk.
And I wasn't trying to get in the way of the process, I was just trying to.
No, I fully understood, having have asked numerous clerks who said, we appoint our own assistant, and I'm like, that's fine, but we've got no help, so we're going down this way.
The town's gotta pay them.
Yeah, exactly.
So I told, I think, said this to the candidates, that it's a possibility we get hired and then they may,
No, I don't even,
they
I
should
would-
be.
again, anybody who's hired here, I mean, even though you can appoint them, somebody's gotta pay them.
Yeah.
You know,
All right, Roger.
I'll move that we authorize the chair to reach out to the individual that received the necessary votes for the clerk and treasurer position to determine, the status of the position.
I'll second.
I don't want any further discussion. No, I'm just kidding, I'm kidding.
Well, no, are you okay doing it?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, okay.
Yes,
So,
that's fine.
And not to be. And then.
Just keep going, Bill, you're doing great.
But Cheryl, when Roger made that motion, if you would make the word position, make it plural.
Because it is-
it's two positions.
It's the
and
treasurer, right,
It's possible
Right, yeah.
that she could take one, not the
Right,
other.
yeah.
So it's like.
Yeah, I've been
Right.
designating them as two positions in the minutes.
did we vote, all those in favor say aye?
Did the vote just happen?
Yeah, it just all voted.
Yeah.
Unanimous, that's right. Do we have any other discussion?
well, there's an interim manager. Oh, that's the other.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, Woody, I don't know if you have anything else.
I think that was enough to cover.
I know, I want to be
It's still bills.
I think that completes our agenda, and, we don't have anything on the next agenda at the moment. In
Do we
your
need to do
with the
anything
concept
or
of,
talk about anything in executive session, or are we good?
you need an executive session?
No,
I think we did.
okay.
Okay,
Second.
thank you.
Are we meeting then the second or the third Tuesday, right, of March, which is
17th.
We meet to the 17th
I will
at
be,
7:00.
7:00?
Yeah.
And one thing that I would just, I was looking over the agenda from the organizational meeting a year ago. And Woody and I were working on what might be on this agenda. Earlier, you had talked about having a discussion around committees, committee appointments, liaisons and that kind of stuff. That actually had been part of the organizational meeting last year. We felt that it made sense to pull it off because you guys just, very freshly.
Floundering. Well, it does,
So I don't know if that's something that you might want to think about. for the
Yeah.
next-
what I was gonna ask with respect to that, what happened last year was the select board, I don't know how the communication went out, but there was I'm gonna use the word loosely, notice of vacancies of any of the committees and commissions. and applications should be submitted.
And I
Is that,
think your appointments for committees all start the 1st of April. So yeah.
so I'm wondering, should we be putting that notice out so that those applications can be coming in?
I believe the clerks had reached out to people who were time up on the boards or such, because I had been getting some letters saying I would like to be reappointed to the tree board for.
Well, there was, I really want to compliment the select board for, they made a form. That's an application to, and well, only because I had to do it, it was like, I'm already on it. Why? I do think that was a good process, actually. So I think, we should get out a notice on maybe the website that, anyone whose term is coming up or is interested in a committee, or there's a, I don't know what the wording was, but it was really good last year, if you could find that. Get that posted
I
and
actually
then,
started a draft email to all of the committee chairs that then just didn't get finished today.
yeah, but I think you need to do it publicly. It's not just the committee chairs. It should be on the website because we want
Paper
community members to
Right.
participate.
Right, well, and I've been posting about vacancies that have been ongoing in like municipal dispatch and stuff, like, and on Facebook, like those public announcements about committee vacancies that have been ongoing throughout, like just positions, like the DRB is down one member. There's a term not being
Okay,
filled.
but it's a new calendar year. I
Right.
just would make, I'm asking you if you could make a general, every open, every, on this coming up.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
That,
Let's move on.
That is coming.
And to your point, though, I thought we were gonna wait till the new select board member was on to assign committees. I mean, I know what you're saying, it would be better to do it sooner or later, so I don't know what.
I'm just trying to get stuff coming
Yeah,
in.
Oh, no,
I'm trying to get stuff coming in, so I don't know that we're not putting a deadline on when they need to be, I guess we probably should, say, like, by the end of March. The application should be in, and then when we act on them, it can be late. If we have to, well, we can talk about it in the sense. How about that, okay?
I think that's smart.
Okay, we'll put it on the agenda for the 17th. Cheryl, do you have that?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's already on top of the select board page asking for.
That's great. Anything else?
Sorry, it's in
Would I-
sidebar.
I take that.
Bad guess.
Motion to
Bad- I
adjourn.
got that information.
So moved.
All right,
I'll
we're,
second it.
all right. Any further discussion?
I wanted to thank Bill and Carol. I heard you earlier, and the amount of devotion they've had to provide to help us bridge a gap is very, very welcomed as a community member, as well as Bill, the other Bill, meaning Woody, as well. So I personally acknowledge that must have been a very complicated situation to navigate. And so I don't know if Carol left, but I appreciate her support, and as well as Bill Shepluck and Woody.
Carol told,
Basking in the glow, so.
he's moving at 7:30 tonight, so we see how that works.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Amy, for saying that.
All right.
Thank you, Woody.
Yep.
And